RWBY Chibi episode 2. Now this episode, I think, going off of the last episode, I was really surprised with this one how much they were kind of touching on like Blake and some like her being a thief early on, and they did the stuff with basically her the ninjas in love in the last episode. So I was really surprised with all the stuff they did against Blake and like kind of making fun of her character, and they did the ball of yarn thing, which I thought was really funny with Yang. And it was just really funny. I'm like, man, they are just like destroying Blake in this episode. It was really funny, like her being a thief and stuff, which was probably one of my favorites out of the skits in this one. Like especially the ending when she leaves out and it's like, you guys are terrible, and she's taking stuff, and then she like runs in and she just grabs the remote from Yang and like shoots out, and she's on the motorcycle later on, or like right after. But I love that one. That was really funny. We got to see Jean in this, which was pretty cool. And of course, Jean, even in Chibi form, like in Chibi form, it's even worse. He actually has a leg in a cast. I was like, man, somehow it's worse in Chibi form for him. But I love that scene because he was so mad. It was like, man, if he swore right now, I wouldn't be surprised by that. But it was just really funny how mad he was. But I like that, so it was cool we got to see him. And, we had the scene with Weiss when she was ice skating. The funniest thing about that is like, so we're not inviting her to go swimming, and I'm like, they're all in their normal costumes in the pool, so they were just gonna swim around in regular outfits. That was what I noticed. I was like, that's the funniest thing to me, is that they're mad that they can't swim in them. They're just gonna swim in their outfits and stuff. And obviously Yang with her gauntlets, she's just gonna swim with her guns, basically just on her arms. So I thought that was really funny, but I enjoyed this episode a lot like the last one. I think I enjoyed this one more than the last one, because the last one, as much as I enjoyed that one, this one I felt like had more moments that made me laugh. The first one kind of it definitely had the thing with Ruby and Blake when Ruby's yelling at her about the book being filth, and she like roundhouse slaps her with a book. That's the funniest thing to me. That and her like eating the cookie, or eating the chocolate chips and stuff like in the sink in the very first part. So I like those two moments, but this one had more of that, because like Blake in the beginning when she runs back in and she like steals the remote, them when they're all frozen in the swimming pool, which like I said was really funny to me just because they were still in their regular costumes, and then the stuff with Jean was really silly as well. But I like this one. I thought it was really funny. I am looking forward to seeing, and I mentioned this last time, I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of the characters in their chibi forms, and how they kind of play around with that idea, because they've already did the thing in the last episode with Ruby being so small she fit into the sink. So I kind of want to see more stuff like that where people are in like really crazy silly places, and they kind of did that a little bit, even though it wasn't like someone's so tiny they fit somewhere. But when they had Zwei at the very end and Blake like leans out from behind the lamp, which I thought was really fun. I love the way they did that. That was really cool. I thought like that's really funny the way they did it, and I was really curious because I'm like, they had Zwei in there, and he was like the thumbnail really. So I was like, okay, so here's Zwei, here's his scene. What's he gonna do? And it was just like he just went in there, and I was like, okay, well, still super cute, but I don't know what the scene is about. And he leaves out, and then Blake like just comes out of just space and time, and just leans out and is like, oh man. So I love the way they ended that one. I thought that was really cool, but the way they picked on Blake in this, I thought was just really fun. It was like every single one of these. I think even the stuff with Sean was about. I'm pretty sure that was about Blake as well, because she like, left the candlestick on the ground and stuff like that, and it was like Blake needs to learn to pick up her stuff when she's finished reading and stuff. So every single thing outside of, I'm pretty sure the Weiss thing when she froze the water was the only one that wasn't like kind of making fun of Blake. She was a thief in the first one. She kind of got stereotyped, I guess, by Yang with the ball of yarn. She got freaked out, of course, by Zwei at the end. And then the stuff with Jean as well, she was the reason that he, like, broke his leg. So, like, 4 out of 5 of those were, like, Blake is doing something wrong or something like that. So I thought that was really funny. But I love this one. We also got a lot more dialogue compared to the first one. We had, like, way more dialogue in this episode. And it starts with, the newscast. They're all talking, in the first scene as well and stuff. And in the last one, it was kind of like no talking until like the very end, basically, before Ruby, like, hit Blake because of her book with, you know, the filth. So this one had a ton more dialogue in it, which I was curious how it was going to play out because it seemed like they were kind of going with just visual stuff in the last episode until that last scene. But this was like dialogue all the way throughout. So I was glad to see that because as cute as it is to look at the chibi stuff and they, you know, do the really silly things like Ruby making the cookies, I wanted there to be, you know, funny dialogue as well because otherwise it would be a huge missed opportunity because as funny as Ruby is normally, it's the chibi version. It's meant to just be pure comedy. So I was glad that they really kind of upped the ante on the dialogue, and basically every single skit had dialogue in it. So I was happy to see that. And I figured they wouldn't do like no dialogue, but it seemed like they were going to do like very little per episode. So I was glad to see that that wasn't really the case. But definitely enjoyed this one, of course. Want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And there's really not much to ask about this episode. Outside of what you guys thought of it having such a weird focus on Blake. Like every focus was a bad focus. It was her as the thief, her being stereotyped with the yarn, which is really funny because they already did that with the laser pointer thing, which I'm pretty sure that was Yang as well. So that's kind of her deal, I guess, being slightly racist, I guess. But everything was kind of against Blake, so I would love to know what you guys thought about that because it was just interesting. Like every single one except for the Weiss thing was like something negative about Blake or something stereotypical about Blake or something like that. So I thought it, of course, was just really funny. But I'd love to know what you guys thought about that. And like I said, I'd love to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know. And thanks for watching.